Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, so today we're bridging thousands of years of human experience. We're taking the ecstatic, ancient cosmology of Siberian shamans, and we're tying it directly to some incredibly practical, modern psychological tools we call spirit hacking. Whether you're totally new to these concepts or you've been navigating the subconscious for years, you're going to see exactly how some of the oldest healing traditions on Earth offer a totally relevant framework for our crazy modern lives. Let's dive in.
Think about it for a second. Have you ever felt like you're fighting invisible forces in your daily life? Maybe it's a sudden wave of anxiety out of nowhere, a toxic conversation that just completely drains your energy, or a self-sabotaging habit you literally can't seem to shake. It feels like a battle, right? Well, what's fascinating is that thousands of years ago, traditional shamans were fighting very similar battles. Only they conceptualized these emotional and psychological struggles as literal entities and energetic forces in the spirit world. Today, we're going to unpack the visual maps they used to navigate those unseen realms and show you how we can use those exact same maps to reclaim our own personal power.
Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Mapping the hidden realms. 2. Tricksters and threshold guardians. 3. Shamanic shadow work. And finally, 4. The art of spirit hacking. All right, Section 1, Mapping the Hidden Realms, the Architecture of the Cosmos. So, to really grasp how a shaman heals, we first need to understand the architecture of the cosmos they operate within. In ancient maps, the gateway between worlds is the axis mundi. Now, in a lot of mythologies, it's represented as this physical thing, like a giant world tree, a pole, or a ladder connecting the heavens, the earth, and the underworld. But modern practitioners recognize that the axis mundi is not just a place you travel to, it is an internal condition. It's a profound state of psychological poise and equilibrium. You see, it's through intense initiatory trials, often involving really deep trauma or crisis, that a shaman actually develops the inner ballast necessary to journey between these worlds without totally losing themselves. The axis mundi is basically that calm center right within the storm of the subconscious. Now, the shamanic cosmos is split up into 3 main areas: the upper, middle, and lower worlds. And listen, because of our modern cultural baggage, we almost always mistakenly equate the lower world with some punishing version of hell. But actually, the lower world is the realm of ancestral memory and the deep subconscious. It's a hugely vital place of regeneration and soul retrieval. When a shaman descends into the lower world, they aren't going down there to be punished. No, they're going there to rescue repressed emotions and heal profound karmic wounds that are completely hidden from our conscious minds. Moving on to Section 2, Tricksters and Threshold Guardians, Facing the Gatekeepers. Okay, so getting into these hidden realms isn't quite as simple as just closing your eyes and hoping for the best. Whenever a shaman attempts to bridge the worlds and actually descends into the lower world, they inevitably run right into threshold guardians. For example, in the traditions of the Telangit people over in Siberia, a shaman's soul travels to the literal gates of the lower world, where it is stopped by fierce guards, specifically the 9 daughters and 7 sons of Erlik. And the shaman can't just fight their way past like an action hero. They have to negotiate. They perform drink offerings, pouring them straight into the fire to mediate with these guards. It's a massive test of the shaman's resolve, the respect for the unseen forces, and their ultimate ability to bring balance between light and dark. And because of these intense gatekeepers, a shaman really can't be this rigid, one-dimensional figure. They actually have to encompass the role of the trickster, the sacred clown, or even the sorcerer. To successfully navigate the crossroads between these worlds, the shaman must embody a deeply ambiguous energy. They use this trickster energy to momentarily disrupt the status quo, absolutely shatter everyday reality, and bypass the conscious mind's heavy defenses. It's really only by stepping completely outside of normal, polite society that they can access the profound power they need to heal.
Which brings us to Section 3, Shamanic Shadow Work, the Inner Descent.
So we can take this ancient concept of the lower world descent, right, and apply it directly to our own deep subconscious. Shamanic shadow work is basically the process of traversing your own inner darkness, not to fight demons, but to retrieve repressed emotions or traumas, stuff that shamans call lost soul pieces. But what is absolutely vital to understand here is the method. You don't retrieve a lost piece of yourself by swinging a sword. You retrieve it by offering it unconditional love. Shamanism views our inner darkness not as this terrifying evil void, but as an essential rescue mission to reclaim fragmented parts of our very own identity. And there's a really sharp contrast here between traditional and shamanic practices. Standard shadow work or modern therapy often treats our negative traits as these problems to be fixed, transmuted, or transcended. They get labeled as bad.
Shamanic shadow work, however, takes a completely different angle. It simply asks you to take radical responsibility for what the modern shaman Durek refers to as your junkery. You know, your hurts, your habits, your vices, without assigning any value judgments to them whatsoever. Your shadow doesn't actually want you to fix it. It literally just wants you to own it. To actually pull this off, you absolutely have to suspend all value judgments, period. You gotta release the attachment to your victim stories and just stop blaming external forces. Think about it. When we judge our pain, when we look at our own behaviors and ask, oh man, what kind of monster am I? We are actually blocking ourselves from receiving the vital lessons our shadow holds for us. Judging means we've already formed an opinion, and that shuts down our ability to truly observe and heal. But by treating the shadow as a partner, you invite those lost soul pieces right back into your energetic field.
And that leads us perfectly into Section 4, the art of spirit hacking, modern applications. All right, so what exactly is spirit hacking? Put simply, it is the practice of consciously choosing the emotional frequencies we generate, rather than just passively defaulting to the frequency of whatever is happening around us. In our modern, hyper-connected world, we are constantly giving our power away to external stimuli, the news, toxic environments, other people's stress. Spirit hacking is the ultimate toolkit for taking radical responsibility for your physical body, what urban shamans playfully call your biological spacesuit, and your personal energetic environment. Let's look at a super concrete example, something called the morning shadow dance. This is a daily spirit hack to establish direct, unfiltered communication with your shadow. First thing in the morning, grab a pen and paper. Draw a line right down the center. On the left side, boldly ask your shadow the hard questions. Why do I keep self-sabotaging? Or why am I feeling all this anxiety today? Just let the answers flow on the other side without any judgment. And step 4 is the real kicker. You finish by stating out loud, "Thank you, shadow. I love you." You do this to reclaim your personal power before the day even begins, treating your inner darkness as an ally, not an enemy. Here's another wildly practical one: shamanizing urban energy disturbances. Modern cities they're full of concrete, noise, and honestly a lot of toxic energy. When you feel bombarded by all that, try this. Stand up in a really grounded stance, hold your hands about 6 inches in front of your chest, and boldly clap your hands in counterclockwise circles, like 5 to 10 times. I know it sounds almost too simple, but this physical action is specifically designed to shatter toxic energy buildup and break up energetic blocks right in your body. It's a literal, physical way of clearing out your field. And the beauty of these techniques is how incredibly adaptable they are. There are so many other hacks, like calibrating your internal navigation system so you know exactly what is aligned for you, or logging into nature to intentionally pull deep, grounding energy straight from the trees and the earth. There's the walkabout, which is a journey designed to actively dismantle your limiting belief systems, and my absolute personal favorite, shamanic harmonic ninja sorcery, which is the practice of swiftly and intentionally shifting the frequency of negative, complaining conversations going on around you. But remember, true learning here doesn't come from just listening to me talk about these concepts. It comes from actually embodying them in your everyday life. So, I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. What fragmented part of your own lower world is currently waiting at the crossroads to be reclaimed? We honestly spend so much energy fighting our inner tricksters and threshold guardians, but what if, starting today, you just stopped fighting? What if you took radical responsibility, suspended all that judgment, and boldly journeyed inward to retrieve your own lost power? The map is ancient, guys, but the journey is entirely yours to take. Thank you so much for exploring this with me, and I really hope this sparks a brand new way of viewing your inner world.